Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. All right, it's Friday, so it's PowerPoint Day. This is called Leap of Faith. This is Adolf Bastian, um, uh, a world ethnographer, traveler, theorized that there's a psychic unity to mankind that's responsible for elementary ideas from all people. He proposed that the local cultural traits, I'm going to scroll down here, the folklore, the myths, the beliefs of various ethnic groups, they originate according to laws of cultural evolution that are essentially the same. They're merely different in form because of the geographic location or environment. And his thoughts have been influential on Carl Jung's idea of the collective unconscious. You never find what they call the elementary idea, that principle behind it. You only find the local ethnic inflection of it, which turns up in 1,000 different forms, but you have to see through it to see what the principle is. And from our point of view, we've seen through the local, provincial, ethnic, and tribal thing to the planetary thing, to the universal archetype that is species-wide. Earthrise, it's clearly that's the next planetary myth because it's about all of us. Now, I'm a big fan of Mircea Eliade, a Romanian who was the head of the Southeast Asian Studies Department at the University of Chicago. He majored in the history of religious ideas, and one of his most important ideas was the difference between the sacred and the profanum outside of the temple, in such a facere, the sacrifice necessary to offer what propitiates the deities and puts you in contact with a higher reality. The sun dance, for instance, as the Native American way of men to bleed for the good of the people. I know it may seem like it was some kind of self-masochism or self-mutilation, but they're honored to do this because they say the women bleed every single month, and men as warriors have to also show their blood. That was the sacred thing for them to meet every summer solstice and do this. Now, in the Vedic tradition, the yogic tradition, the priestcraft controlled all the offerings through the Sanskrit liturgy, and everybody needed the priest to offer the formula. But then the Upanishadic teaching came on, and now the next leap of faith was it's not the priests who were dependent upon, but now you had individual teachers telling you, Tat Tvamasi, thou art that. You have to have the individual realization within yourself and not just trust the traditional formula and have other people be the intermediaries for you. And then you get the individual revelation, like in the Hebraic teaching. Right? If you deny that the revelation happens to you, you project it upon other people. Like Moses, he wasn't looking for it. That's searching, questioning. Revelation is when it communicates to you because it's alive, it's intelligent, and it communicates. And what happens when you meet the burning bush that doesn't consume itself? That's a pretty interesting image, isn't it? Or you have the Buddha's enlightenment, the power of the introverted mind to self-liberate itself. How many of us go as deep as the Buddha, though? That's the real question. We all have the potential, but most of us don't use our will or our effort to do that. We have other worldly goals, you could say, not enlightenment. But it doesn't matter what tradition you go in, you'll find these images all over. Following the star. The wise men came from the east. The Magi to the manger, right? They couldn't get a room at Holiday Inn. They had to stay out in the barn. Emmanuel, God among us, right with the instincts and the funkiness. That's where God is as well. Shiva Lingam, the sign of the cosmic phallus. But almost all deities that bring about birth, and the same thing is true for the female deities, right? They're not only the potency that has creative force, they're also the one that brings death when he does the Tandava dance and destroys the whole universe in a cosmic supernova. So interesting how those deities that bring life also bring death. You can see that particular symbol in so many different cultures because no culture denies it. But you look at Shiva, I love these Indian posters. There's packed into so much imagery there. It's hard to realize. He has the Ganges coming into his head and the half moon. So he has a celestial thing. He has a vegetal image. He's connected to Ganja, right? He has the animal image in the bull. He has the transcendental wisdom of having the knot on top of his head to catch the energy so it doesn't flood the earth. He has the devotional element with his mala beads. He has the water pot in front of him with all the amrit in it. He has the trident that rules the three worlds. He has the drum that's the tick of time. He has the animal garb to sit on and the snake around his neck, indicating control of those instinctive impulses. Well, how do you know it works for you? As Joseph Campbell would say, a symbol is supposed to be transparent to transcendence. If it doesn't take you through to the other side, it didn't do its job. And the most important thing to remember for all of us in this game of incarnating, wondering who we are, is the soul's code, that the oak tree is in the acorn. We're already here with hundreds of intelligence traits ready to be cultured, developed, expressed, so we can live the life we were meant to. Now, a lot of people stay in what I call keeping the lid on the pressure cooker. And if you do that, it leaches the vitality out of the rest of your life, so it leaves you no energy for creative pursuits. So this is what you have to look at. I call your dark shadow. What are you keeping down? What are you holding back? Whether what you're holding back is your gifts, your love, you're holding back from yourself, from your family, from your culture, from your ethnicity, from society at large, from the species. Each one of us has to wrestle with what that is, in my opinion. But the problem is that myths of relationship and how we try to work it out, I always say relationship is the yoga of the West, it's unevenly reflected in the stories of the gods and the goddesses. And to a certain extent, the Greek tradition is closer to us than the Hindu tradition. And yet what you find out is the Greeks, they had a lot of difficulty showing harmony between the gods. They were philanderers, they fought with each other, they took sides, not very godlike as far as I'm concerned. It shows you how difficult it is for our imagination to picture what harmony is really like. But in the end, according to evolutionary biology, the explosion of the brain has to do with the pelvis being able to support the upright position that frees our hands for tool making and image making. That's why Tadasana is so important to all of us. Learn how to stand up straight and find your midline. Yes, it's called the Brahma Sutra, the thread that connects you to the Creator. And then if you stand up straight, you'll understand how your body battery, your chakras, will reflect the electromagnetic potency that we have, not only within our body, interstitially, but around ourselves in our aura. And that's why working with the body, called Kaya Sadhana, you'll find in Kaya Sampat, the treasure of the body. Put in your time, it's definitely worth it. And then ultimately I like to say, oh, if by happy you mean trapped with no means of escape, oh, then yes, I'm happy. Yeah, well, but the truth is, the happier you are, the better things go. So it's tough to learn how to be happy. And that doesn't mean every single moment you have a grin on your face and like nothing affects you. Because happiness is not something that is pursued. It's something that ensues as a result of the good life that you're leaving, which includes the compassion for your own and other people's suffering. Well, but if you're going to commit yourself to you don't know what, the only way you're going to do that is by a leap of faith into the unknown, which turns out to be your own path, just like in the movie Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail. He can't get to the other side. It's too far to leap. Not even Evel Knievel with a motorcycle to get there. Then he realizes from a tarot card that he remembers, oh, it's the leap of faith. I have to take the step and commit myself into that abyss, into the unknown, with faith. Then the bridge will come out. Even if you know intellectually the bridge will come out, you still have to make that first step. And when you do, only you will find out whether the bridge comes out or not. Have a great day. See you next week.